Hey, welcome everyone. Just getting ready to start the fire tonight. Little redneck fire starter here. Just give some squirt in here. Open up the flue there. And give her a light. Ooh, gotta like that. Takes off there. Hey, welcome everyone. I'm gonna adjust the camera just a wee bit. See if that's open. Oh, how's that? That's a little better. You can see me, you see the fire, and tonight, special treat. One of my friends, Rich, came over last night, and he had given me last night a cigar called the Diesel Shorty, which is a new cigar that's out, and it's similar to tobacco as I have smoked before, but in a different profile. It's really good. But he had just got a bunch of cigars in the mail, and he had got this Diesel Bourbon Barrel Aged. I'll let you guys see the wrapper there. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. He said it was really good. I haven't had it. There's a little write-up that I printed off the computer that I'll read to you. And, hey, all you newbies out there, welcome to Cigar Night. We're gonna have some bourbon, we're gonna have cigar, have some pointers. We'll talk about cigars. We'll talk about other stuff too. So, and the new setup tonight is my son Porter watched some of my other videos, and he's like, "Dad, those suck. Your camera angle and your setup's awful," which I so appreciate because I'm all about improving. And so my only concern tonight is that the phone's too far away from the mic. But we'll see how it works tonight. I might have to get a wireless mic or try to work something in with a microphone. We'll see. But this Diesel Whiskey Row Bourbon Barrel Aged cigar. Let's see what it says about that. The core of the cigar is made with entirely Nicaraguan long filler from 3 different growing regions. Let's see, it looks like Ometepe, Chulapa, and Condega. I don't know where any of those places are, but it sounds fancy. And I'm holding it over the fire so I can see without my bifocals. I know, that's hilarious, and the fire's getting hot, as you can see, that have been aged from 5 to 8 years. The Bourbon Barrel Aged Binder in a Mexican San Andreas leaf, and it's all held together with a 5-year age Ecuadorian Habano Grappa. The barrel age produces strong. Yeah, you guys, woo! Can't hardly read this. So anyway, you get the idea. It's a fancy cigar. And AJ Fernandez did the tobacco blends and picked the tobacco out. And it came from his Esteli crops of tobacco. And so, man, again, I think I got this fire so stinking hot. I hope I don't have to move away from it. But we'll see. We'll keep that flue open and hope it calms down a little bit. But has some nice bands on it. It's almost like there's too many bands on it. I don't necessarily like cigars that have a lot of bands on it. But I'm really excited because it is also partnered with Rabbit Hole Whiskey, which I tried for the first time about 2 weeks ago, and I actually wish I had a bottle tonight to try with this cigar because that is the whiskey barrels that it was aged in. And Rabbit Hole won a number of awards. I have to say that it was good whiskey, but definitely not my favorite. And so, but it was a winner. So we got the cigar, we get the cutter out. Remember, we got the dummy-proof cutter that has the back in it. And as we cut the cigar, you just press it against that back, and you cut it once. And I'm actually going to take another cut because I like to have a little more off. And it's okay if you cut it a little angled. Some people do that on purpose, and it's actually called the Dickman cut. And I don't know why, other than some guy Dickman cut his cigars that way, and he got famous. So we're going to get the lighter out from my dad. You guys, if you didn't know, my dad passed on September 4th, and I sure miss him. Today, actually, I was out in the garage, and I've had a stressful couple of weeks. Man, things are just breaking around this house like you would not believe. And I just wanted to talk to my dad. And yeah, those moments, those of you that have lost people and you realize that you can't call them. They're not there. And so it was a little bit sad today, but I got his lighter out and I have some time to have a fire and I have some time to have a cigar with you. And whew, is that thing hot? Yeah, I got a little carried away starting that fire. We are going to move the camera just a little bit so I can sit a little further away from the fire. We'll move the camera back when that fire cools down a little bit. You can see the glow of the fire. But I should show you before I light that up, we also have a special treat. My daughter had bought this probably last week. Knob Creek, which is one of my favorites, smoked maple. I've never had this, and so I'm pretty excited to try it. And my wife, she's like, make sure you get 2 glasses out. So at some point she'll probably come out here and we're gonna pour her a glass when she comes out, but I have it ready for her. So, and I like Knob Creek that they put that little tab on their bourbon so you can just kind of peel it off, throw it in the fire because that's just wax. And we'll open it up. And I really love Knob Creek, so I'm just gonna give it a smell. Oh wow. That has some good aromas to it. Kind of some strong smoke flavor and subtle maple. So we'll see how that goes. But like I said, it's been a rough week and you're just like, wow, Tom, that's more than a few shots. Well, yes, you're right. And we'll see how it goes tonight. But we put a little dent in that bottle, which is our right. So, like I've said before, and if you're newbie here, this probably is not the best cigar lighter, but it's a dang cool cigar lighter, okay? And I really like it. You're like, that looks like something more from chemistry class. You're probably right. And I kind of try to gently toast this. I don't know that you can do that with the flame, but the professional cigar lighters say that you should like gently toast your cigar before you light it. I'm not sure why that is, other than it just produces snobbery. And if you haven't guessed right now, I'm a little redneck. I live in Montana. Definitely not down south, but the redneck presides up here. And if you watched me before or listened to my podcast, you know my brain gets ahead of my mouth often, and so sometimes you're just like, where is the dude going? Hey, I'll get there, and sometimes I'll get there without you, and I'm sorry for that. I'm actually not doing too bad of a job lighting this tonight. And you can kind of blow on the end. That helps you get a nice cherry red. We've talked about before how getting a nice even light to start with is pretty critical, and it makes for a much better smoke, and tends to be even, although some cigars just will smoke uneven, and it's not because you did anything wrong, but sometimes if you don't light it right, that can produce that. So I'm just going to take a couple draws. And what does that do other than look really cool? It draws the tobacco into the middle, or the flame into the middle of the cigar. And wow, whew, I think I might even lose this hat pretty soon. Dang, it's hot. I'm going to have to take my wallet out because it's like, whew, it's just, it's heating up and burning me. So my initial thoughts on this is, I had a few pieces of chocolate before I had that, so that's kind of clouding my palate a little bit, and so it's kind of hard at the moment. I'll take a sip of this whiskey, but it's pretty smooth, and it's a little smoky. You're like, yeah, smoky. Tom. No, I like smoky flavor. I know that it's smoky because it's a cigar. Obviously, it's smoky. You guys see my neighbors driving by. It's really interesting. The ones that are walking by, that's really where we have the fun zone. One's walking by and they're like, what the heck is that? And honestly, if I haven't remembered to hike up my pants before I sit down, they're like, wait, I thought the moon was in the sky. Do you see it over there? Oh, bad. I'm surprised I have any humor left. Really, you guys and gals, if you're a newbie, gals, you're welcome to cigar smoking too. Before this whole COVID-19 thing, me and my friends, Rich and Tim, would go to the Rocky Mountain Cigar Festival in Broomfield, Colorado. If there's any of you out there from Broomfield, shout out to you guys. Man, they put on a good cigar fest over there, and it's so much fun. But there are so many women there smoking and enjoying cigars, and it's just a lot of fun. So if you're new to this, showed you how to cut it, and honestly, cutting it, the biggest deal about cutting it, you know, or you may not know, there's a little cap on the end, and you can put your glasses on, or if you don't need glasses, you look closely and see there's a little cap on the end, and you just don't want to cut past that cap. And even if you do that, cigars are still salvageable. You're not going to ruin them. I've actually committed the unpardonable sin and cut cigars in half and smoked them and shared them with a friend. And they actually work that way too. The cardinal sin is really when you let your cigars dry out. And these are surprising because they've been in the mail, and I smoked one last night, that Diesel Shorty, which I was telling you about, which I would love to do a review and a light up one of these nights, because that is just, it is a great cigar. So we talked about getting a good light, getting a good cut, and you may have seen the cigar punches out there, and I know a lot of people that like those. I personally do not like them. I've tried to use them. I think it's an inferior way, which those of you that are cigar punchers out there are going to say, dude, you just don't know what you're talking about, and that may be entirely true. But if you're a newbie, I suggest cutting it and just take a little off before you take a lot off, because you can always cut it again. And then with your light, just take your time. And just, you know, especially if you're like, hey, I'm gonna start cigar smoking, and you went and bought yourself a big old like triple flame torch, and you get it out and you start lighting your cigar like this. Just take it easy, hold it back, just gently with the tip of it, start to toast that end, and then try to get it as even as you can, because that's gonna make your smoke much more enjoyable, because nothing sucks more than going around your cigar and you're like touching it up, trying to get it to burn, and it never does get right. It gets better, but it never gets right. It's much better just to take your time. But a side note, if you're smoking and it's windy out, sometimes it's just impossible to get an even burn on your cigar. And I have done the whole rotating thing, and honestly, after doing that for a decade, I'm not sure that it even makes a difference. So I don't waste my time anymore, because, you know, that's a lot of effort. So stupid, isn't it? So stupid. So, generally on cigars, you're thinking a couple good puffs, 2 or 3 good puffs, maybe every 30 seconds to a minute. I'm on the faster side, so I'm going to be 30 seconds or less, other than I'm like jabbering too much here, which often happens, so I don't smoke as fast. But man, when I like a cigar, like I really like this one, I'm probably going to end up smoking it faster. But then also when I get a train of thought going and I don't want to lose it, I end up talking and not smoking. And so we'll see which prevails tonight. And but this is, I'm trying to pull out the flavors for you. And it's obvious, you would say bourbon, but I kind of actually like to taste it. And I wouldn't say I have the most refined palate. I've always talked about, me and my friend Rich, our redneck rating system is like good, okay, and bad. And we have a friend, Ian, and he's like, hints of cardamom and cocoa, and maybe some cacao butter for the smoothness and creaminess. Yeah, maybe you'll get some of that from me, but probably not to that degree. So let's see here. Boy, definitely creamy. It is pretty smooth. Subtle spice, like peppery, but not really. Almost, I would say almost cinnamon, but not quite, really subtle cinnamon in the flavor profile. Very nice on the palate. This is a cigar that I think I'm really going to enjoy. This is the first time I've had this. These are fairly new, and I haven't had it. I used to be a huge diesel smoker. AJ Fernandez, who does a lot of different blends for a lot of different companies, started the diesel and rolling blends for them. And I used to be huge diesel smoker, and there was one trip to the cigar festival, and you guys got to know, over this weekend, my friends and I, this is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and 2 of those days pretty much are driving, so it's like, Friday night and Saturday we have free, and then we're driving again. But we smoke anywhere from 17 to 20 cigars over that weekend. And so on the way down there, we have a cigar every state, and we cross into 3 states, and so we have 3 cigars, sometimes more. You're like, whoa, I know. And I picked some strong ones, and by the time we got to Colorado, I was sick. And ever since then, I haven't been able to smoke the stronger diesels. Sometimes I can smoke the shorter ones, the Robustos, the Coronas, but not the full size. And so I would say this is probably on the more medium, maybe / a little full, but definitely not a strong cigar, but full of flavor, but very nice, smooth flavors, and not intense on the nicotine side. boy, and when you first inhale and puff, or I do, it's like almost a subtle bouquet aroma or flavor. It's kind of cool, but it doesn't persist, and it's not distracting, and it's very subtle, but it's very nice. And so let's try our Knob Creek smoked maple. Wow, that is sweet. I may have to say it could be on the too sweet side for me. Yeah, it's definitely on the borderline. I maybe would even add some water to this. I think I can, and I don't think this is recommended, drink this like soda and kind of chug it. And that actually is my inclination. It's like, you see, I just pounded that, and I want to pound some more because of that sugar in there. It's like, it's kind of like eating maple bacon, where you have one piece and all of a sudden you're like, wow. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm going to steal some of the ice from my wife's cup, and I'm going to dilute mine down a little bit, and of course we're going to pour a little more. Why not? We're all friends here. I'm not driving tonight. And by the way, if I haven't ever said it, don't be a butthead and drink and drive. You know, if you're going to do that, get some friends and get somebody to help you. I just have a really good friend that got a DUI, and man, it just let's just say it interrupts your life some fierce. And he's a good guy. He was working hard late, and totally was functioning, and I'm not making any excuses for him. Please know that. And he had a tail light that was out. So those of you that you're fine, and you probably are fine. You probably can handle your liquor. Honestly, I can drink a lot of liquor, and almost all the time, it's true, before I ever feel it, I have to drink copious amounts of liquor to feel it, but probably would not pass a breathalyzer test. So pay attention. And honestly, I care about you. I don't want to see you have to deal with that in your life. And if you've had to deal with that in your life, I'm sorry. So the fire's about right. We're going to scoot the camera over so you can see the fire. There we go. That's a lot better. And I got my handy dandy wood back here, so we don't have to go far. We'll just put a piece or two on at a time to kind of keep the thing going. You're just like, hey, Tom, don't go crazy, because you're going to be moving that dang camera again. Whew, I can feel that bourbon warming me up down there. So yeah, as we're doing, and I'm doing videos, and you're watching these videos about cigars and bourbon, I'm serious. I love enjoying alcohol, and I love the different flavors. I love drinking it, but we have to live in reality that we can endanger other people, and I don't want to do that. I'm a firm believer in community and friends and people, and I don't ever want to be responsible for hurting someone. And my friend wasn't, but now he has a huge financial burden in his life. He's probably going to be facing jail time just because of the laws here in Montana, which is good to have strict laws. And he's going to be facing community service, and he has a family, and he has kids. And, you know, just use your brain. You know, even if you're a redneck like me, we come across as being kind of dopey just to fool people, but we're really freaking smart. And truthfully, we're probably a lot more freaking smarter than they are with it. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So, yeah. So, oh, that's really good. Yeah, it's been a rough ride here in Belgrade, Montana. I'll tell you what, and I'm so far behind. I think on the Cigar Night website on YouTube, I don't have a website other than the YouTube channel, but I think I'm behind. I have videos that I haven't posted, and I apologize. I am a dude. I'm a redneck dude just trying to get started doing this stuff, introducing people to cigars and sharing the wisdom that I've gained from making a lot of mistakes and really focusing on relationships. And really, my heart is for you to benefit, and my heart is I really like doing it, and I hope to be able to do it and support myself. I shouldn't use weasel words like that. I will do this and support myself, and you guys are so gracious with your kind words and your support, thank you so much as I'm figuring this out. And as you can see from my son Porter, I love feedback. And you'd be like, well, dude, it made me lose some weight. Hey, I would appreciate that feedback too. I'm working on it. But if you're just like, hey, your videos would look better if you were a little skinnier, man, that would help me. I don't get offended by that. Yeah, I'm just not sure about that Knob Creek smoked maple. If you guys have had it, will you just comment in the comment section what you think about it? I'm just not sure. I'm a fan. It's like they went overloaded on the sweetness. The smell had me. Honestly, I think I could drink this about 50-50 with water, and that would be about the right flavor profile for me of the maple. And honestly, I'm not getting much of that smoke flavor. I can smell it, but as I'm drinking it, it is really sweet. Do you like that? I'm not a fan. I like my bourbons to be flavorful, but I sound like a whiner here. It's pretty sweet. So I mentioned I do some other podcasts, and I do one called the Yup Podcast, and I always like spelling it out because it's funny. It's Y-U-P. It's because you gotta go, right? Oh, it's actually not about that. It is about relationships and random stuff. I actually talk about health issues, and you're like, a fat guy talking about health issues? Yeah, listen, you might find it humorous. I actually, I come across as a dumb redneck, but I'm pretty well researched, and I think out my opinions and search out my opinions fairly thoroughly. And so I may come across as a dumb redneck, but not quite. And then my Sanguine podcast, those of you that have been burned on the church or faith and God, and you're just like, dude, don't even talk to me about that crap. You're just a freaking, yeah, we can use the other word. I don't want to mark it explicit though, and I like to save my exclamation marks. Remember? Freaking God thing. I'm going to tell you, I approach it from a whole different realm. Yeah, sometimes I get down and I preach a little bit, but always mindful that people come first, and that was God's desire. So you can find it at sanguinefaith.com, or you can search any of the major podcast players. It's on Apple Podcasts under Sanguine, and same with Yup. And then I do one for women. So any of you ladies out there that are having cigars, or you're just watching it, maybe you're watching it with your hubby, learning a little bit about cigars. Quick note, why do I smoke cigars? Well, you notice I've been doing this probably for 20 minutes, and I'm only that far. So I'm going to have to stay in the same spot for another probably 60 minutes. For guys, sometimes that's the only thing that gets us to relax, because I would probably still be working either out in the garage or upstairs on the computer. And in a sense, I'm working because I'm doing this video, but I'm also smoking cigars by one of my favorite places, the fireplace. And I'm doing one of my favorite things, talking with you. I so appreciate you. So, like a quarter of the way maybe through this, I'm absolutely loving this. I just can't tell you how smooth and creamy this is. I would say that's an overwhelming profile of this cigar, and just a slight hint of like some peppery, which I like, but not normal what you would find in a Series R or a cigar like that. It's it's real subtle, but man, is it good. And I tell you, I wish I had a different bourbon, because I think something a little less sweeter would really pair well with this. And I should have went and got myself a bottle of that Rabbit Hole and tried with this cigar. That would have been more than appropriate. And I apologize, I'm not sure why I didn't do that, but I love my bourbon, and I keep wanting to give this more tries. But yeah, wow, that's so sweet. I'm thinking maybe I should cut it with some evergreen or something to give it a little more punch and less sweet. I wonder what the proof is on it, if they did down the proof a bunch. 90 proof, and I drink the Knob Creek 110, and so yeah, it's a little light for me. But yeah, the sweetness, I'd say Knob Creek, I've kind of blown it on the smoked maple. I'm just not a fan. You're like, Tom, drop it. All right, I'll drop it. Well, let's see. Let's grab another piece of wood here. We don't want to lose our little fire that, woo! Yeah, little Mr. Fire Handler here. I probably shouldn't have been doing that, but this little fire pit out here, it works really great, but the coals disappear pretty fast, so you got to keep things going out here. So yeah, things have been breaking around here like crazy. I told you about the water heater. That's an ongoing saga that yes, it has finished this previous weekend, but we got one error code and I called, and then we started to get another error code, and the whole meantime we're all getting stuck with these ice cold showers. And the bummer is they don't start ice cold. They start really warm and you relax and you say, wow, everything's going good, and then it's like, and you do the sphincter pucker and everything shrinks up to tiny, and you're just freezing trying to get the soap off of you, which doesn't come off that well with oh, here comes my son Porter. We'll see here when it comes up if he says anything about my setup. Anyway, you get the idea. You're freezing, you're freaking, and you're saying, yeah, lots of exclamation marks because you're really upset about what's going on. And so, oh, he went in the garage. He saw me out here set up. He's avoiding me. That's all right. I'm sure he'll have comments later as he's watching it online, and hopefully he approves. Anyway, this freaking water heater. So I'm back and forth with the service people, and this is an EcoTemp water heater. Nothing bad about the company. Their customer service is great, but you have to know this is a brand spanking new water heater, and from day one we have had problems. It's supposed to service multiple sources, and sometimes even one source will kick it into an error code and you get a cold shower and all the water shuts off. And especially if someone else turns a supply on somewhere else with hot water, it goes off. And so I've been online, and they're finally, it's the motherboard and we'll send you a new one. I'm like, great, how soon can you get it here? Well, that'll be a week and a half. And I'm like, do you understand that there are 7 people living in this household and they've all had cold showers and I'm the one responsible, and they're getting a little upset? Do you realize that my life may be in danger? Sir, we're sorry. We understand the difficulty of the problems. I'm not sure they do, but it's a nice script to give the customers to say you understand. They're like, well, and so they didn't offer it. They were only going to do one kind of shipping, and it was a slow boat from China to get here. And, you know, if they say 7 to 10 days, it could be longer. And so I'm like, well, how much to get it overnight? And they're like, they didn't even tell me. They sent me like a screenshot of it. $150. Do you know how much the part was if I had to pay for it? $60. And so I was like, all right, what carriers have left for the day? And what ones are still coming? And they're like, well, UPS is still coming. I'm like, how's second day air look? And $83. So I paid $83 in shipping for a $60 part on a brand new water heater from EcoTemp. So those of you out there, and if there's anybody from EcoTemp, I would love my $83 back, because I think that should be on you. But I just have to say, the people in customer service, I think they are scripted and they have rules that they have to follow. So I don't blame you, but I blame the company and their policy, because that part should have got to me overnight at your cost. Really good. Spent too much time talking about the water heater. Anyway, so Saturday night I put the motherboard in, and guys, this is not an easy problem because I've got big meats here, big hands, and you know, motherboards are delicate things, and I say there's 300 wires. There's probably 50, right? But you know, we like to tell big tales, like TALES, tales, right? And yeah, it took me a while, and I got it all replaced, got it back together, and it works. Woohoo! Well, on Friday, the alternator on the car that my daughter drives, Dodge Durango, went out. So went and got an alternator, and I think it's been a while since I replaced an alternator on a regular vehicle, because I had a little bit of a sticker shock that it was $200, $250 with the core charge, but I brought the core in because I'm a redneck and I don't want to pay that core charge, right? And we know how to mechanic, us rednecks. It's part of what we do. We do everything. We know how to do everything. Other than, you know, our mouth tends to get us in trouble. And that's probably the one thing that we're not so good at. But, you know, we can make moonshine. We can work on cars. We're great at making babies. You're just like, whoa, dude, stop while you're ahead. I thought that was really good. I don't so much like working on cars, the whole, you know, process of making babies. That's a nice process, right? We both, if you don't enjoy that, it's okay. It's a little weird for me, but I'll be all right. You know, I'm pretty accepting. Yeah, do I have the initial? Yeah, I do, but it's okay. You're welcome. Light up. Let's go. And so I put a new alternator in. Well, when I put a new alternator in, it started up, and I tell my daughter it's good to go, and she drives it. She drives it into town, and then she's coming home at night, and the thing starts to stall out. So I have to go pick her up, half-hour drive there. I drive it home, and yeah, the thing wants to cut out and sputter. So what do I spend all weekend doing? Trying to figure it out. And I can't figure it out. I'm going through all the things, and those of you that aren't mechanical, you just bear with us, because you're going to be like, oh, dude, check the idle air control, because it's a 2000 4.7 liter. That's the size. That's how many liters fit. Yeah, right. You don't. Some of you care. Some of you are like, whoa. Anyway, I check the throttle positioning sensor. I check the manifold absolute pressure sensor. I check the air temperature control sensor, and I pull it for codes. And it's throwing the same codes that it has since I've had it, an O2 code. And I was like, well, an upstream O2 could really affect that, but why? End of a long story. I think that is probably what the issue is, that it's affecting the fuel mixture ratio. My wife peeking out the window, she's wanting some of her bourbon there.
Did you pour me some of that voodoo brandy or whiskey?
I will. Your glass needs some ice in it because I stole your ice.
Okay.
So she's gonna come out here and say hi. I don't know if she'll like it. This will be a really interesting test to see if she likes it or not. But anyway, at the same time, I think I told you in a previous video that I had problems with it overheating. Well, the stupid thing has this, in the upper radiator hose, this plastic housing where the fill cap, or what you would call a radiator cap, would go, but it's in the upper radiator hose. So I bought a metal one and replaced it, and miraculously my overheating and heater core problems are solved. So that's fantastic. That thing, plastic housing, was warped, and that radiator cap was not seating properly, and so it was leaking antifreeze out when it got warm, and that's why we never saw like the leaks, because it would just kind of leak out, and when you're driving or whatever, it got up to temperature, so it was really hard to track. And so that's cool, but the thing, there's no freaking reason why it should be running rough. And some of you out there, maybe you hit in the comments, hopefully I figure it out by the time this gets posted, but if it isn't, I appreciate learning from you. But it's after it's warmed up, and so depending on what the outside temperature is, if you start it up and you drive it about 5 minutes in this Montana fall weather, which, you know, we're down in the 20s probably when I'm starting it, after it runs fantastic for about 5 minutes, and then it's like the computer goes through its diagnostics, and all of a sudden it starts to cut out, sputter, total loss of pedal. And so I'm thinking it's that O2 sensor, and there's something wrong with that O2 sensor, because when it kicks on, it sounds like it's running really rich and it's starving for air. Oh, here comes Adrienne, and she's got her own glass.
You said I needed ice.
I got your glass, but I didn't get you ice. Are you going to come and say hi? She doesn't have her makeup or anything, so she doesn't want to come in front of the camera. So she's just holding her glass out like Oliver Twist. Please, sir, can I have some more? I'm not sure you're going to like it. It's really sweet.
It says maple. That's my favorite. It says maple and hickory. So.
Well, let's see. I'll tell you what her face looks like when she takes a drink.
The smell is good.
She likes the smell. Oh, she likes it. Okay. She likes it a lot. Well, that's good, because I don't like it.
Maple syrup right here.
Yeah, it's like drinking maple syrup, isn't it?
This would be the whiskey that Buddy the Elf would put in his glass.
Did you hear that? She's like, this is the whiskey that Elf would drink.
Buddy the Elf.
I think Buddy the Elf, I think that is entirely true. And so Buddy the Elf would drink this whiskey. It's too funny. So I have that issue with the Durango hanging over my head. And so I don't like when problems aren't solved, and I get really freaking stressed out, and I have a lot of anxiety, and I tend to create a bad atmosphere around this house, and I really have to guard myself. And I realize what I'm doing, and my family, they can see that rising, because I don't like unsolved problems. And so this weekend was a huge battle for me, letting go, being able to relax. And honestly, I'm not sure how well I did. I think my wife, maybe she would give me a C, but I kind of think I'm probably even in the D's, and I hope I didn't fail, but so on top of that, so finally got the water heater solved Saturday night, so that had been weighing on me Friday and Saturday. Well, Friday I was sick, had like these waves of nausea that would come over me. I'd be fine, and then like for 5 minutes I'd just be like, I'm gonna puke. I'm gonna have explosive D out of the backside here. It's gonna be disaster pants if I don't get to the exit hole there. And and then it would pass, and I'd be fine for like an hour, and then it would hit me again, and then I had a headache all day. And what did I do? Yeah, like a really smart guy, I rested all day. I did not. I worked all freaking day and just dealt with the sickness like so many of you. And I know that you can relate. And because who else is going to fix this stuff, right? And so that's how I'm going into the weekend. Friday night, slept like crap. Up Saturday, dealing with the same things. Pulled the Durango in, pulled the O2 sensors. And initially I thought, well, it could be plugged cats. Because it kind of seemed like maybe it ran for a while. It built up enough back pressure. So I pulled the O2 sensors and ran it, and that didn't seem to make any difference. And so I finally put all the O2 sensors in, but one, and pressure tested it, and the cats are fine. There's no pressure developing at all. And if anything, I wonder if the cats are still there because it's got 200,000 miles on it. So it's like if the cats have all the way disintegrated and there's not even anything in there anymore. Anyway, so I did that Saturday, and I come upstairs and I'm looking and researching on the computer, and like, most of us rednecks, we're watching YouTube videos, hopefully from other rednecks who have solved this problem. And there's a bunch of stuff to watch, and my wife looks at me, she's like, when are you gonna be done? And it's 6:30, and I look at the clock and I'm like, oh, I can't say 7, that's not enough time. So I say 8, and I am literally 7:59 and 59 seconds before I turn away. I can't let go. I had such a hard time letting go. I should have been out here doing this, talking to you guys, but I wasn't. And so I watched the movie with the family for a while, and I think they were watching some Hallmark movie. So yeah, if you're like me, you're like, that's about a 0. I'm sorry. If you like Hallmark movies, you're a better man than me because you're sensitive and caring, and yeah, you understand on a different level than I do. I watched it politely and then took a shower, and I don't know what I did. Probably proceeded to bed, or I didn't work, even though I wanted to work so bad. And so Sunday I get up before my wife, and I put on my work shirt and my work pants, and she gets up and she's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, well, why do you ask? That's a work shirt and it's Sunday. Yeah, we're kind of old-fashioned around here. We believe you shouldn't work on the Sabbath unless you have a real crisis, and then you get an excuse card because it's okay. God will write you a little excuse card, and irregardless of God, somebody will write you a little excuse card because they know that it's important. I'm going to work on, okay. I'm like, I'll be done before you even wake up, because it takes her a while to wake up because she has to have her coffee. And so, yeah. And so I'm out there working, and, like a good Christian man. And some of you have no idea what that is. And that's okay, because I'm not sure that it's entirely good. I think you should be a person of faith. But this whole religious thing, I got to scoot my beep away from the fire because it is hot. And I'm closing my eyes because smoke in the eyes here. Anyway, and so, but I'm listening to worship music out there. And yeah, not the Gaithers. Nothing wrong with the Gaithers. The Gaithers are fantastic, but that's a little dated, listening to stuff a little more current. Anyway, and I'm like, I feel so good out here. There's something, even if you aren't a believer or you believe in God, you should listen to worship music because there is something peaceful and calming about it that changes things. And I don't know that you need to explain it. Just try it. It works, okay? And I'm relaxing. I'm like, okay, I just need to wrap up here. I'm going to make a plan for Monday, and I'm just going to rest. And so I wish I could say that I did, because I didn't. I started, and then I'm like, ooh, I think I know what the answer is. And so I ordered this part, and went to O'Reilly's and picked it up, and it's a quick install. Installed it, took the Durango for a test drive, no go. All right, so then, finally, okay, there's a lesson here for you all. Even those of us that don't get it the first time, there's still hope to get it. And if you get it late, you still get it, and it still counts. Don't just, smoke. You're like, well, you're smoking a cigar. Woo, I'll tell you that off the fire. That would be one strong cigar. Holy smokers. So I finally got it. And I relaxed, and I sat down, came inside, talked to my wife, and my son came over, my oldest son, and then his wife eventually came over, and we had a good, relaxing evening. But let me backtrack, because in the mix of this, on Sunday, or maybe it was Saturday night, you guys know, and I told you at the beginning of the video, my dad had passed on September 4th. And I'm close to the city where Dad passed in. He passed in Billings, Montana, and I'm in Belgrade, which is about 2 hours away, or if you drive like me, an hour and a quarter. Please don't do the math, because you may have to reprimand me for how fast I drive. Oh, well, it is freaking fun. And what a way to go, right? If you have to... Did you just talk about, like, drinking and driving and being legal and all that stuff like that? Yep, I sure did. This big old hypocrite. Anyway, and my brother's in Florida, and so it wasn't practical for him to come, and we really want to see him, and we're like, just plan a trip. My dad was a veteran, so he is due a memorial service, and so I think we're going to plan that around the time he can come. But he wants some of Dad's stuff, which I want to send him. And so I promised him weeks ago that I would send it, and life has got in the way. And please, that is no excuse. I'm not making excuses for myself. It is wrong that I did not send it. I'm just telling you what happened. And so I told him, smoke, wow, that I would send it on Monday. And so I guess this is Sunday. And so I'm putting stuff together. I know where most of the stuff is. We had put it away, but it was on a shelf close by. And so I started pulling out photos and stuff, and I'm looking. Woo! Sorry, guys. The wind is blowing the smoke, and you probably can't see it right up into my face and my eyes, and it's just like, it's pretty intense. And so my wife left her little dog, Max, out here. He's a Morkie, and he's sitting there, and he's wondering what the heck is going on. So I'm going to let him in real quick. I think it's because I don't got enough wood on that fire. It's kind of smoking itself out here. So we're going to stoke it just a little bit here. And maybe we'll close the damper a little bit. But, wow. I don't know. That was pretty bad. Anyway, Max, he's a cutie. I should get him in one of these videos. You guys will... He's a lap dog. He totally is. Well, there you saw I ashed myself on camera. And yeah, that's another point I don't know if I talked about, but leaving the ash on, I think cigars tend to smoke smoother with the ash on, and so I like to leave the ash on. And yeah, you guys are noticing I dressed up for you tonight. Hey, this is who I am. One of these nights I'll come out here in some gold chains and some bling, you know, gangster redneck. Nah, working man most of the time. So, my brother, promised him I would get this package Monday, and Dad was a veteran, and the military stuff was really important to my brother, and I knew that, and I had military pictures and all that stuff set aside, but Dad was also a paratrooper, so he had blood wings, and those of you that know what that is, it's wings, and then it has a skull and crossbones for a parachuter, because they're just badass. I have not been tending this cigar, so give me a few puffs here to get it going good. Good quality cigars will usually let you have some long breaks before they go all the way out, but you do need to, especially after you lose the ash. If you do, puff on it a bit, otherwise it's going to go out, and a relight can really change the flavor of a cigar. Unfortunately, that is true, and you want to try to avoid relights. Boy, some interesting flavors as I'm drawing on it hard and getting more of that peppery out of it. And boy, I think a little cocoa / maybe some licorice. Interesting. If you guys try it, let me know if you're getting the same. It's pretty interesting. Anyway, so bottom line, Sunday night. Okay, I'm probably doing this like, in between not finishing working on my stuff. And the dogs are back out. My dog, Birdie, and Max, and my daughter peeked out the door. And Elizabeth, the one who got this bourbon, is like, who are you talking to? What are you doing out here? Yeah, my family, they're just like wondering, you're kind of a weirdo. Anyway, So, Sunday, and I can't find this box anywhere, and the family is scouring the house, and I'm doing my best not to actually freaking lose it. And I guess I'm doing okay because I don't lose it, but I just want to lose it, and we can't find it anywhere. And so I run to the parts store to get that part because I quit working, right? No, I didn't quit working. I come home, my kids are playing ping pong in the garage. Oh, can I tell you what I felt? I'm just like, do you not know how important that box is, and you're freaking playing ping pong? I did not say that, and I'm so glad that I did not say that. But that's what I felt, and that was the stress and anxiety of multiple things. And it may not seem like a lot to you, but it was building up, and I was feeling the stress and anxiety that was building in our household due to all these things unfinished, and probably what my own anxiety was feeding into the household, because as the head of the household, I feed into the household, and so what is coming back to me is a reflection of what's in the household. Now, if you didn't get that, that's golden. You need to rewind that and listen to that again, because that is 100% gold, and you may have missed it for decades. And so go back. That's one of those moments. Anyway, and I'm just trying so hard to let go, and my wife is helping me so much with these gentle reminders, things that I know, but I'm having such a hard time doing it. And so I'm just like, I need more help. So I text a couple of my friends. Okay, you guys, I have a lot of good friends. I don't always text all of them. I kind of go with my gut instinct into who to text. And so it's not a preference or I like one more than the other. It's just, and sometimes it's all of them, but oftentimes it's not. Oftentimes it's just some of them. And so, hey, I got to take a quick break here. I got a little potty break here. All right, I'm back. My dog's outside, so I may have to take another break to let her in. I'm not sure how she's going to get back in the house, but she's kind of that way. She's an independent Chihuahua. She's a female, but she is an alpha, and she is the boss. And so we'll see what happens here. Anyway, I finally reach out to some friends, and I just lay it out how it is, because they're actually texting me asking how I'm feeling physically, because I was sick on Friday. And I'm like, I'm good physically, but my anxiety is through the roof. And use different words, but it's really intriguing, because this is when life sucker punches you or just runs you till you're winded. This is where friends and community matter so much, because one responded, and he prayed for me, point specific about everything I was going to deal with. And whether you're a person that believes in prayer or not, I'm going to tell you something about prayer, and you need to listen to this because this is true. Prayer directs energy, and I believe, there's my daughter looking for the dogs here, or looking for the dog. But it directs energy, and I believe that God directs energy, but you can believe whatever you want to, but it moves things. And put whatever name you want onto it, it moves things. And it did, and I'll tell you in a minute how it moved things. My other friend gently reminded me, and he gave me some fantastic advice, and this is probably advice that I've given other people, and I forgot, and he was so good, because he's like, I'm no expert. And you guys, if you're ever giving advice, that is a brilliant intro. It opens the door for people to receive. And my friend, Greg, he's a great communicator, and with that intro, I'm no expert, but he said, I tend to shrink my world, and what he meant is the problems, and focus on what I have the most chance of having success at. And once then you succeed and you build confidence, and it gives you some momentum to move on. And I was just, that is what I needed to hear. And like I said, I'm sure, I know for a fact that I've given that advice to other people, and I needed those words a reminder. And so two completely different responses, but absolutely what I needed. And so when you're thinking about going with your gut, go with your gut, because there are people, and yes, I'm going to bring God into it. I believe that God has already sent messages in people's hearts exactly for what you need. But you call it the universe, you call it a feedback loop, you call it intelligence, you call it whatever you want, but it's out there to help you. And that is what community and friends, they are oxygen, they are life to you. And so, yeah, they did that, and yeah, I felt better. And you're like, yeah, that's usually what I find that prayer does when I ask for stuff like that. And there's no real substance. Well, let me tell you, if it wasn't an hour or two later, I'm walking in my room, and I walk by this cabinet where I keep ammunition. Yeah, because rednecks have ammo, and we have guns. Yeah, lots of guns. Lots of guns, fun guns. And other things, camping gear, tents, and things that rednecks do to have fun, right? And I feel this nudging inside me. And again, I'm going to call it God. You call it whatever you want. And said, look again. And once I've looked like 5 times already. Are you kidding me? I want you to pull stuff out. I did. All right, I'm like, okay. And I felt specifically that I need to look on the top shelf. And I did. And I pulled stuff out. And bam, there is the box. And I recognize it right away. It's one of those red boxes that you get your checks in when you order checks. And those of you that don't know what checks are, you're still welcome here. You're young. You're young and dumb, I'm sorry, but it's true. I was the same way. But you're also young and brilliant, and you have something that a lot of us older people don't. You have a lot of energy, and that is a gift, and so use it. And get undumb, okay? Get undumb so you can utilize that energy, leverage it, and make a huge difference and a huge impact. Set you, yourself, your family, your children, your heritage up for tremendous success. Leverage that energy. That is gold. Use it, pay attention, because this is good stuff here. Yeah. Wow. Friends, community, oxygen, life. When I felt like it was beat out of me, felt like I didn't have any more, you got to go to your resources. And if you don't have a resource portfolio, and I'm talking about community and friends, you need to develop it. I am really fortunate. I have a huge resource portfolio of community and friends. And I have super good friends that I see weekly. I have super good friends that I talk to once or twice a year. And you're like, how is that? And I don't really know, other than we just connect and we tend to grow and move in the same direction, even though we're hundreds, if not thousands of miles away. But when we talk and we connect, we're still there. And if I called them, or if they called me and they're like, Tom, I'm in a bind. I need $100. I need $1,000. And vice versa, if I said that to them, called them, it would happen. Those are friends and community. Or if they say pray, we would pray. And that community has done that, and we have done that to them, and it makes a difference. So if you're listening to this by accident, you're interested in cigars. Cigars are a beautiful way to build community. You get somebody over and you hand them an hour and a half cigar, you got an hour and a half to connect and have time with them, to build relationship, to get through the foibles of communication, because when you're talking with other human beings, that happens. None of us are perfect. We have our experiences and our past that play into how we communicate with each other, and that needs to be fixed in most of us, honestly. I know it doesn't mean to. Some of us don't know how to listen. Some of us don't know how to talk. We'll listen all day and we won't say a freaking word. We don't know the huge power of vulnerability. That vulnerability is one of the secrets to great leadership that people that listen will never figure out because they never share. So, friends, this has been a fantastic cigar, and I think I'm going to wrap up here and shut off this. I'm so glad my wife likes it. I 100% do not like it. I do not approve of this. I will not ever buy it again. I probably will not drink it again. Maybe when I watch the movie Elf, I will drink it. I do not like Knob Creek Smoked and Maple, which is really sad for me because Knob Creek is probably in my top 3 favorites of bourbon and whiskey, especially the 110 proof. And then I had like the 10-year age the other day, which was also fantastic. I think this stuff is garbage. I'm sorry, Knob Creek. I think this is liquor for, I'm sorry, for snowflakes. It's bourbon for snowflakes. It's I have to be honest with you, and I'm always going to be honest. When something sucks, in my opinion, and you can have a different opinion, I think that's great. My wife loves it, and I'm so happy for her. And I'm so happy that this probably $40 or $50 bottle of bourbon that unfortunately they added maple syrup to is not going to go to waste. So, hey, you guys, check out my Yup podcast, and I'll just end like I do there. Hey, cigars, you want information, you want me to cover some things you don't know, maybe I don't know, but I'll figure it out because I got you. I do. I got you. So go out there, enjoy life, and make a difference.